So, Ilhan Omar, I got a lot of love for Ilhan Omar. This woman knows how to troll. And it's crazy because she's been under so much attack, so many attacks lately from the president, from the right, from the alt-right specifically, from these nationalists, from these quote-unquote faux patriots, that the fact that she continues to actually double down on a lot of her stances is quite impressive to me. It shows that she has a lot of conviction. It shows that she is going to stand by her laurels, and it shows that she is going to continue to fight the progressive fight because she knew when she got to Congress that it wouldn't be easy. I'm sure she absolutely knew she was going to be denigrated and attacked, and she's been standing up to all the attacks. And a lot of times she stands up to those attacks with legislation like what we see today. So I don't know if you all heard this breaking news, but Ilhan Omar just introduced a resolution to defend Americans' right to boycott Israel. The BDS movement is essentially a movement that intends to boycott Israeli products until they stop. Until they stop, and then of course stop the settlements, and then of course give Palestinians their full rights back. Some people agree with it, some people don't. And if you're going to ask me if you have a right to boycott, absolutely, 100%. I agree with that. I would never encourage anyone having their right to boycott infringed upon. You have a right to spend your dollars where you do and do not want to spend them. And that's a fact. And it's funny because the other day, there was a politician who wanted to boycott Nike, and it is his right to do so because basically Colin Kaepernick got them to pull the shoe. So he decided to boycott Nike. This is his right to do so. Cool. Problem is, those same people who will boycott Nike over somebody, bringing attention to the insensitivity of a particular shoe, a particular brand, a particular action taken by a particular brand, those same people will whine, cry, and complain the moment that the left boycotts something over a legitimate reason. Especially when we're talking about the Israeli government, especially when we're talking about AIPAC, especially when it seems to be me that the only time the right is like genuinely upset with the left is when we question authoritarianism, which is really weird for the group generally. By the way, this isn't everybody on the right, but it's a lot of them. But there's a lot of people who seemingly want to. They always complain that the federal government is trying to take over their lives, that the federal government will eventually become authoritarian, and then they actually push for all the mechanisms, or push for support for all the mechanisms of authoritarianism. It's weird. But Ilhan Omar is not standing for it. So this article is from the Haaretz, and it says that not only is she introducing legislation to defend the right of Americans to boycott Israeli products or the BDS move, but this actually is coming right before she goes to the Gaza Strip in order to learn more about the Israel-Palestine conflict. The article says, under fire from United States President Donald Trump and ahead of a newly announced trip to Israel and the West Bank, the Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has introduced a resolution championing the right to participate in boycotts in the pursuit of civil and human rights. The resolution referred to the House Judiciary Committee this week is clearly aimed at countering legislative efforts to outlaw the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel, although it does not mention Israel by name. Omar's resolution is co-sponsored by her fellow progressives squad members. Rashida Tlaib, they say in the article, she's a Minnesota congresswoman. She's not. She's a Michigander, but I know what they meant. And also, John Lewis actually signed on to this as well. I would be interested to see, matter of fact, and I wish I would have checked this beforehand, but we're going to find out right now, well, y'all are with me, who else did or did not boycott This resolution. Oh God, please don't tell me she did not. Resolution number. We're gonna find out right now together. Oh man, I'm really hoping that I'm just being paranoid. Let's see who co-sponsored the resolution. Oh man, y'all. So this has become a pattern, honestly, when it comes to foreign policy, when it comes to speaking up for human rights, not only at home but abroad as well. AOC is falling short once again. Unfortunately, Rashida Tlaib has co-sponsored this. Obviously, Ilhan Omar introduced it, but AOC, it's weird because like their names have been linked together over and over again, and now because of AOC's attacks, or like her bickering back and forth with Nancy Pelosi, and then AOC or Trump doubling down on that. Really, this is all like the catalyst was AOC and Nancy Pelosi. Trump doubled down on it, and somehow it's still been turned around to send her back. I don't know if you heard about that Trump rally in Greenville, North Carolina yesterday. By the way, Greenville, North Carolina, I'm not surprised that this is what took place at the Trump rally. This is the same city that I was jumped by 6 police officers, had my tooth chipped, had the cops hold me down while they beat me in a jail cell. And then they tried to blame me for it after I was trying to split up someone else's fight. But interestingly enough, the people who were actually fighting didn't get arrested. I was the only one who was jumped by the 6 cops. So I'm not surprised by that. But Ilhan Omar is coming under fire basically because of what AOC and Nancy Pelosi started. And Ilhan has been standing by her side in support. And of course, because she's the Muslim black woman, the Muslim black refugee, she's been attacked more than anybody else. And she keeps, rolling with the punches. And this wouldn't bother me as much if AOC didn't have that big slip up when it came to Israel when she first got elected, right? And we forgave her for that when she was basically, it's a complicated situation. I don't know if I would still call it a genocide or an apartheid. Okay, a little weird, not gonna lie. And then after that, whenever basically all the little AIPAC hound dogs attacked her for telling the truth about AIPAC, AOC was silent. And then she only came out to the defense of Ilhan after she said, well, Ilhan, when she came out to the defense of Ilhan when Ilhan could attack Trump, or excuse me, whenever Ilhan was attacked by Trump, and that way she didn't have to go after the Democrats who were attacking Ilhan illegitimately so. And then she didn't even defend Ilhan on her original claim, which is that basically AIPAC runs most of Congress. She defended it by saying, she apologized for saying that. And now, in the midst of AOC, Ilhan's name being thrown together basically every single day for the last week, this resolution is getting introduced that basically maintains, the Constitution and asserts that our constitutional rights shall not be infringed upon in any circumstance. And AOC doesn't co-sponsor this. I'm sure she'll vote for it. Hopefully. But the fact that she's not a co-sponsor on this is a little bit bothersome. Only because of the pattern on this particular issue. And so it's frustrating. But for Ilhan's been attacked as anti-Semitic when we know for a fact that isn't true. Ilhan's been told to go back to her country. For what? Because she called out Elliott Abrams? Why? Because she called out Elliott Abrams, she's being told to go back to her country? Because she rightfully told the truth about what was happening in Venezuela and what they plan to do? Because she's rightfully critiqued both Democrats and Republicans on a regular basis? because she is firmly against the military-industrial complex. And I don't know if you all have known this. Like, the attacks on AOC are very surface level usually. The attacks on Ilhan are I mean, just scathing. It's a different type of attack. They don't even talk about her she just hates America. She almost had her life assassinated because Trump linked her to 9/11. People were like, come on. And even with all of that, Ilhan still manages to troll Bibi Netanyahu and Trump and AIPAC. Even amongst all that, she's like, yeah, I mean, I know y'all tripping, but here's a resolution to just show y'all how much of a fuck I don't give about how much you're tripping about this situation. Enjoy. And it will, depending on how the votes go one way or another, expose a lot. It will. And in the article, in the resolution, Ilhan talks about Nazi Germany and how, if you don't know, people eventually started obviously boycotting Nazi Germany, but the fact that it was not boycotted from the beginning. Remember, many companies had Nazi subsidiaries. In other words, many of our big corporations, Ford, GM, GE, the list, it goes on. It's scary how long that list is. Basically, all the biggest companies you can think of in this country had Nazi subsidiaries. They helped fund Nazism. They are a large reason that the Holocaust happened. And so I'm glad that Ilhan referenced what should have happened earlier when we're talking about Nazi Germany, because although it is not on as grand of a scale, what we are seeing is a modern day apartheid. What these Palestinian people are being forced into, these settlements are, they're equivalent to the German ghettos, the Jewish ghettos, where people were forced into bad living conditions and had their rights basically taken away from them. Ilhan's experiences have clearly given her the clout to see things from a very humanist perspective. And her adversity has clearly given her the conviction to see these things through, no matter what kind of attacks she comes under. And so I'm extremely happy that, she's keeping her spirits up and still doing what she needs to do as a congresswoman, despite being attacked as anti-Semitic, despite being told to go home by a room full of white people, let's be honest. Despite Trump trying to use her as a distraction. It's still crazy to me. How does this whole thing become about Ilhan? Like, basically, when Trump realized that he was wrong about where all the women were from, go watch some of the videos. It became about Ilhan. And Ilhan was barely involved in the AOC situation. She just kind of popped up. But they have no way to attack Ilhan on policy. You can't attack her. Because if you talk about what Ilhan has been doing, then you'll know for a fact that she has been working within the interests and for the interests of the American people. And Trump has not done so as much. And if those people saw that she was right about Venezuela, like Trump eventually ended up having to admit, right? I feel like we're being too aggressive there. She's been right over and over and over again. She was right about Iran. Trump eventually had to admit, right? Ultimately decided no military action against Iran. Trump on foreign policy, when it came down to it in the very end of, not the end, but the last major conclusions, the most recent major conclusions, no more war in Venezuela, or no more regime change in Venezuela, no more military attacks on Iran. He ends up agreeing with Ilhan more often than not by the time it's all said and done. So why is he attacking her? Because he needs a useful distraction. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get all of our notifications if you like that episode of Mikasa Sukasa. You can also help continue to grow our show by donating to our Patreon and helping us hit our goal of 500 patrons. But remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.